I compiled a list of all the details I saw in Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay walkthrough trailer, and I know you guys probably missed a lot of things that I'm gonna talk about in this video. But finally, we got the gameplay walkthrough of Assassin's Creed Shadows after so many days, and it looks incredible. By the way, if you don't know, this is the first Assassin's Creed game that is created for the newer gen consoles and not for the previous console generation. So that's why these graphics that you see in this game were like this, and I already kind of expected this, to be honest. I'm gonna talk more about the graphics of the game in this video and all the other details I saw throughout watching this. But before that, I would highly appreciate a like on this video and feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want similar content and the latest updates on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Alright, so I have divided this video into multiple different parts so that it would be easy for you to hop through different segments. The first one would be in graphics, and in the beginning itself, the starting shot, you can see the forest and it looks so detailed in general. Like everything near you, the ground, the objects, they are really detailed, and the fidelity is also really high in this game. Now obviously I think there were some problems with the actual video itself because there's always some problems when streaming video, right? But if we actually play the game, it's gonna look a little different than what we saw in the videos. And specifically about the ground, if you can see, the decals and stuff like that are really good in this game, and personally I do a lot of 3D work, so if you see the ground in this specific shot, you can see that the details, like the way different sort of rocks are lying on the ground and other fine things, it actually gives an impression of a real ground. Not like if you see some games, you can actually distinguish between real ground and the grounds in the game, like the soil completely looks weird and flat, but in this game you can actually see displacement. Now one of the most important things that you might not notice, but that is the lighting, and lighting does day and night different actually. If you saw the previous Assassin's Creed games, there was one thing that was missing, and that was global illumination. And with this game, what they have done is that they have added this feature, and this global illumination feature, what it does, that it actually simulates lighting that is realistic. And because of this, they implemented a feature that is you can extinguish lights, and what they are going to do is if there is no light, the enemies are not going to be able to detect you properly, and the detection time will increase so that you can use that thing in favor of you. And this is all due to the new lighting, and that's why you might notice that the people who are in this game, like the enemies, everyone in this game, the way they are looking in this game, the lighting on their bodies, on their clothes, it looks really good, and that's what creates the game really visually pleasing and realistic. And that would be the main thing that improved the graphics of this game. Now let's move on to the world aspect of this game. So in the beginning itself, we see a Japanese macaque, and it's kind of like a monkey, but it is like a Japanese species. So that is what we saw. Then we also see some bird, and then we saw a dog when Yasuke enters that city. And guess what? You can actually pet animals in this game. Now I don't know about other animals, but specifically dog we were able to pet in this game. Maybe we can do that with cats, but we did not see that, but I'm just assuming based on this. Now the density overall is pretty high in this game, as we can see in multiple different shots. Specifically the city, like see the amount of objects, the flora, the fauna, and also human beings. The density of all of these things are really high in this game, and more than the RPG Assassin's Creed games. In the RPG Assassin's Creed games, you did not see this much density, and I feel like this is possible also due to the newer gen consoles. And the architecture overall is really good. Obviously it's Japanese, and one more thing that is connected to this is that the architecture in this game is kind of complex, and they have created the parkour regarding that, because if you saw in Assassin's Creed Unity, the parkour was kind of different because of the types of buildings it had in that game. So in this game as well, they have accommodated parkour with respect to the architecture in Japan. And I'm going to talk about parkour further in this video, just hold on. But we see Yasuke entering this city, and that city is called Fukuchiyama, and it is obviously spring season because you can see cherry blossoms. Now I have opened the map, and the city of Fukushiyama is near to Kyoto, and I think the state is called Kyoto, and there's like Kyoto city inside that as well. So it is the state of Kyoto, and inside that we have Fukushiyama. There's also gonna be kids in this game, and it's pretty realistic, but some people are kind of what. So just for fun, I'm gonna show you this clip, by the way.
Out of the damn way!
So the clothing in this game is also gonna be authentic to the Japanese culture. You can see in this game, everyone kind of seems swagged up, you know? Everyone is kind of respecting Yasuke as well, and they are bowing down in front of Yasuke because at that time, samurais were considered to be of the higher social class, and people used to do that to them. Some people might have got afraid as well, you know why, but I would like to see how much realism they put with this specific thing, because at that time in Japan, seeing a black person would be kind of unique, so people might have different reactions as well. So I really want to see how people are going to react with our character. Now, the AI is a little improved, but still at the end of the day, it is an AI of Assassin's Creed. But not only Assassin's Creed, AI is in general in video games are kind of dumb for the most part. Still, there's a lot to come, but they have kind of improved it a little bit, as you can see, like the way they're acting, the way they are behaving near the fights that are happening. So obviously there's an improvement in this sector, and everyone is doing their own sort of thing. As you can see in this game, some people are farming, some people are doing blacksmith work, so everyone is having their own thing, and it's good to see that. Also, the place that we infiltrate in this game is gonna have different areas, and the castles in general are gonna have multiple different areas, you know, as it's actually there in real life. If you guys have seen Shogun, you know how big the castles are. Like, there's so many different areas in that. And we also see a showcase of the weather, you know, different sort of weathers. I have talked about this before. There's gonna be multiple different seasons. There's gonna be summer, winter, spring, autumn, and you know, it's gonna impact your gameplay. Alright, so let's move on to the next thing, and that is combat. Combat looks kind of a mix of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Ghost of Tsushima. And Ghost of Tsushima in general, because the signs that you see, the signs that you get when you have to parry, and the signs that you get when you have to dodge, they are kind of similar to that game, you know. First the kind of bluish signal, then you know the red one, and those attacks we cannot dodge. So we see that in this game as well. And you know, some things are taken from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you can see breaking defense and stuff like that are kind of similar, but still it combines all of those things to make something unique in itself. And if you guys saw the boss fight in this game, that is also really similar to that of Ghost of Tsushima. You know, there's like a bar on the top. By the way, it was kind of similar in the older RPG Assassin's Creed games as well, but this time it kind of has that feeling of Ghost of Tsushima, you know. And I'm gonna talk about that as well in this video further. You know, you're gonna see a point kind of related to this. But while we are engaged in fighting, you can see that the props that are near us, you know, different objects are also getting destroyed. There's destructible environment in this game. For example, in this specific scene, you can see that accidentally Yasuke hits this pile of oranges, and they kind of spread everywhere on the road. And you can also see one thing, that it's not perfect, to be honest. The physics is not accurate, but a lot of times you can also see that despite them, you know, already being spread on the ground, whenever Yasuke is moving, they are also kind of, you know, hitting, you know, Yasuke's leg and moving here and there. So I feel like they're also colliding each other. And then we see the same thing is being applied with the armor of our enemies, that we can destroy their armor and they're gonna break, and some part of the armor is gonna drop on the ground. And maybe that thing is also gonna cause collisions if we move near it, or maybe hit it accidentally. So all these things kind of create this realistic sort of environment in general, and I really like this thing. This is something really unique. Next thing is, obviously this game has a lot of gore. You can see so much blood splashing here and there, and you can also see decapitation in the boss fight. And one more thing that I talked about in my previous video was that in the end of the gameplay trailer that we got before this one, you can see that there's like a black and white screen that was coming. I thought that was only for the trailer, but that is actually an ability that makes the screen black and white and a little red. So I like that thing a lot. They're trying to do like so many different things, and the art direction is also really good. Now if you can see in the beginning, Yasuke is using the kanabo, and you can see that there is spacing difference in all the different weapons. Then further he uses the katana, and you can see the difference of the pace of using those weapons. Kanabo is hitting hard, but it is kind of slow, and it can also break the defense of enemies pretty easily. And on the other hand, katana is kind of swift, but it is not as hard hitting as Kanabo is. Now whenever you are doing attack and defense in this game, you are gonna automatically charge up your adrenaline, and that can help you perform more different things in the combat. Also, there's posture system in this game similar to that of Ghost of Tsushima, and enemies also have their own sort of postures, as you can see in this specific fight scene. And different posture systems are gonna have their own things. Some are like defensive in nature, some are like offensive. That's what I get from seeing this video. And when you kill one of the main target, the screen goes a little different and it becomes like a painting or some sort of thing. I don't know what it is exactly called, but it looks really good. It's kind of thematic, you know. And we also got to see the Kusarigama combat in this game, and that is like a very long range combat. You know, people are standing like so far from, you know, Naoe, and she is still able to do so much damage. But that is still gonna be a little inferior than Yasuke's combat, right? Obviously, he is meant for that. Naoe is not meant exactly for that. She can still perform combat, but still, she is not exactly meant for that. And you can see as well in this specific scenario that the bamboos are getting destroyed by the Kusarigama of Naoe. And again, this thing I covered in my last video as well. You can check that out if you want more details about the game. Now, let's move on to the parkour. And this thing is probably the most important to me personally and all the Assassin's Creed fans, specifically the OG fans, because this is what separates Assassin's Creed in general, right? This and stealth, I would say, those are the main two factors of Assassin's Creed games. So the parkour in this game is gonna have an addition of the grappling hook, and that can be used to do parkour and assassinations as well, as you can see in this scene. And the hook blade is completely physics based, so the way you move is gonna impact how she swings and the way she moves, you know, overall in general with the grappling hook. And by the way, you can also use that grappling hook to grab someone from the behind and drag them to somewhere else, and I'm going to talk about that as well in this video. The parkour overall looks a little faster in this game, as you can see, but I was still not able to see the parkour properly because, you know, there were only some instances where she was climbing, you know, so we still did not see a lot of parkour in this video compared to what we saw in Assassin's Creed Mirage. In the beginning of Assassin's Creed Mirage trailer, the gameplay walkthrough trailer, we saw how Basing was doing the parkour and stuff like that, but in this game I feel like they did not clearly show a lot, you know, how the parkour is gonna be. And the fluidity is good in this game and it looks overall good, but I don't think it's mocap, to be honest. I would say that don't expect it to be like Assassin's Creed Unity, at least what I have seen till now, but I'm keeping my hopes high. Maybe if we see more of the parkour, we are gonna be able to see exactly how it's gonna be, but still in this video I was not able to see a lot of the parkour other than, you know, using the grappling hook. Now let's move on to the stealth, and as I mentioned before, the grappling hook can be used for assassinations. The cover system is back in this game and we haven't seen that like in such a long time, right? It was there in Assassin's Creed Syndicate last time. I think in Assassin's Creed Syndicate we just need to get close to an object in order to, you know, use the cover, but in Assassin's Creed Unity we actually had to press a button, but I was not able to see if they used a button to use the cover system. But the way she was attached to that specific place, I feel like that shows that maybe there is a button specifically to, you know, use the cover system. And further in this video we can see that she is also able to prone in the grass, and that grass is of a certain height. It's not like a tall grass, it's like a short grass, so in that you have to do prone, otherwise you're gonna be seen, right? Now again, as I mentioned in the lighting part, that, you know, you can obviously extinguish light and that is gonna help in overall stealth of the game. And again, another thing I mentioned is that grappling hook can be used to drag someone. They can be knocked out after you drag them to somewhere discreet, and maybe you can kill them as well if you want, but generally, you know, it feels bad, to be honest, you know, killing civilians. If you're dragging some guard, then obviously you can do, but normal civilians, come on, man. I think there's gonna be desynchronization if we do that enough, you know, similar to what used to happen in the OG Assassin's Creed games. But if you knock them out, they still can be woken up by, you know, other people around them. Keep that in mind, guys. Also, we were able to see the Shoji assassination, and Shoji is basically the door, you know, in Japan, you know, the sliding one. So we can assassinate through that, and for this she specifically uses her katana. All the three weapons that Naoe is gonna have, you know, they are gonna have their own assassination animation, so that does not feel too jarring, and even a single weapon can have multiple different animations in my opinion. So that is gonna create a lot of variety, and, you know, in the recent games we were not able to see it that much, but specifically they have implemented in this game. We also can hide on the ceiling of a specific house. Again, they have portrayed this very well, that, you know, there's a guy who is coming and she just goes on the top and she's just stuck up there, and, you know, the guard was not able to see her. That you can do that, and there's other ways of hiding as well, but we did not see in this video. But maybe there's gonna be small cupboards and stuff like that, you know, you can use. I don't know if those things existed in Japan at that time, but the game is gonna have like its own authentic thing, right, depending on the theme, and it's Japan, so, you know, they have their own different stuff in these regards. So we also see kunai assassination, and it was kind of similar to throwing knives in Assassin's Creed Mirage. So, nothing different than that, just the name is different. And another important thing that might amuse you is that, the noise levels of other people, the rain, the wind is gonna cover the footstep of ours, and the overall actions that we perform, even the combat, everything is gonna add up to the overall sound. So for example, if you are like in a party or something like that, you're probably not gonna hear people talking, or people who are moving around, walking. You're not gonna hear their footsteps, right? So it is exactly the same with this game. They're actually simulating real life in a lot of things. Now next thing is pretty funny that you can actually prone inside shallow water, some kind of pond that is not that deep, and there's like a meter, the breadth meter, and it was also present in the previous game. So nothing different in that regards, but you can use a breathing stick in this specific scenario. Nawe uses that in order to refill her breath. One thing you might find interesting after this is that in the winter time, if you are doing this specific mission, you can't do the same because the pond will be frozen, right? Because of the winter season, there's gonna be a lot of different things that are gonna be different in this specific situation. For example, there's gonna be snow, so you can hide behind snows and stuff like that. There's a lot of other scenarios that are going to happen, but in this specific scenario it's raining, so that covers your footsteps, your actions overall, and also the pond is not frozen. So see how much the weather, the season impacts your gameplay overall, and you have to adjust according to that. You have to find some other ways to assassinate our target and obviously achieve the objective. And now let's move on to one of the most important things, and this is the most important thing to me personally, because I'm a big guy who believes in the overall narrative of the game more than the gameplay itself. So this is like more important to me personally, but it's gonna depend on every single person. The video starts with Yasuke riding horse, and he is a pretty big guy, to be honest. When he arrives in Fukushiyama and everyone is bowing down in front of him, he looks so big, like people are like half his size almost. Not exactly, but still he looks so much bigger than the people. And you can actually see most of the games, what they do is that even though in the cutscenes a guy is gonna look like huge, but in the game actually all the people look kind of the same height. But in this game you can actually see the height difference between people, and I really like that thing. And we are in this specific area where there's this guy Fujioka, and he's like a corrupt guy, and obviously people are afraid of him, and he seems to capture some people. And specifically when Yasuke talks to that lady, he gathers some information from her. That cutscene is not specifically mocapped in my opinion, because the way they talk, that kind of shows it, but still they have done a lot better in the animations overall compared to the previous RPG Assassin's Creed games. So I see some improvement with the whole animation and also the lip sync. It's still a lot better than the previous, but it could have been better if they did like mocap. But you can actually see mocaps as well in this game. It's not in every, but it's still there, and that is the cutscene where Nawe enters after we assassinate this Fujioka guy and his men. That specific cutscene where both Nawe and Yasuke talk, that cutscene obviously has mocap. You can clearly see the difference between mocap versus no mocap. And the cinematography I really like as well in this specific cutscene. We don't have enough intel about this game till now, but judging on this single cutscene, I can say that the cinematography is done pretty good. I just think that this should be similar in other cutscenes as well. I'm just hoping that, guys. Now in this specific scene, they kind of look both united, and I don't know what part is this specifically, and maybe it would be after like a certain point, but how do they get united and stuff like that, still that is unknown, and we have to actually play the game, otherwise it's gonna be spoiled. Like why would you play the game if they're gonna tell everything, right? Now in this specific cutscene, we also see that these guys are talking about the daimyo, and the guy whom Yasuke kills, the Fujioka guy, he serves under this daimyo called Lord Hayashi, and he is in Tamba city. And Tamba is kind of close to Fukushiyama. I don't know if these are like really close. In the map of real life they are kind of far, but in the map of the game this place looks not that far. So I don't exactly know if it's in the same place or it's like completely separate area, the specific castle. Now we see an option to infiltrate the castle either with Yasuke or Nawe, and both will have their different approaches. Obviously, if you guys know, Yasuke is this heavy brute sort of guy, so he is gonna go from the front gate itself, and Nawe is gonna enter low key from somewhere so that people don't see her. The cutscenes are also gonna differentiate depending on your choice. So in this specific scenario, if you for example take Yasuke instead of Nawe, the cutscene would have been different. after that. Everything is gonna change depending on your choice. Now, you cannot change the characters between missions. You can change when you are doing like free roam and stuff like that. While you are actually, infiltrating the castle, you cannot do that, or maybe on some other mission. Now, one thing you might have missed, and this could be missed by any person, and that is that, Yasuke specifically talks about how they can use spy feature that can help them gather more information regarding that castle and things in general. The spy feature is gonna be really useful in this, and I remember that you'd be able to hire spies in this game, and it is gonna be similar to that of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, but in that we actually hire assassins, but in this game we are gonna hire spies. So there's gonna be a little difference. The way they show the targets, it is like really good. It kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed Unity and Syndicate, the way they show the main targets. I actually like the introduction of the targets that was present in Assassin's Creed Origins. We get the whole background about those characters and stuff like that. It was really good in my opinion. I think they should continue it, but who knows what's gonna be in this game. And also in the end of this gameplay, you can actually spot Naoe's father. I don't know if he's gonna die throughout this game. I don't know what part he's gonna die. Maybe he's not gonna die, who knows, but I'm not gonna make any assumptions right now. And the overall HUD in this game is kind of similar to of the RPG games, and specifically Odyssey, because if you guys don't know, this game is coming from the same team that created Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Ubisoft Quebec. This team created Assassin's Creed Syndicate, this team created Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and now they are creating Assassin's Creed Shadows. And you can see similarities of those games in this game as well, because if it's done by the same team, they kind of have their own signature things. For example, the grappling hook and the dual protagonists were there in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and they brought them back. They kind of did some changes and made it better, but they took inspiration from their own games. So that is a thing that happens with every single game that comes from a same studio. And my favorite part in this whole gameplay trailer would be how the graphics are and the lighting and detailing in general. Like, the lighting does all the difference in this game. It just creates so much difference. If you see the previous games, man, you're gonna notice that the lighting is the MVP this time, guys. And there's obviously more detailing overall in objects, the ground, and even the skins of different characters, and that is also something that creates so much difference. But anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. By the way, these are the things that I spotted in the gameplay walkthrough trailer of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I want to know, did you actually like this trailer? Were your expectations exceeded, or they were not that exceeded? You were still happy with it, but it was not that much, or you were disappointed with this? And also, if you spot something else that I forgot about or I missed, you can obviously mention that in the comment section as well. Make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to this channel if you want similar content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.